Censored live with myself, Clay Edwards, and Lindsay Beckham, and Sean Yurtkaran here on a Thursday for our last show of the week.
Thirsty Thursday.
Thirsty Thursday as I drink a Sprite. My times have changed. We used to be quarter pitchers or nickel beer or something like that.
I won't tell y'all what's in my cup.
Yeah, I got the Coke Zero. I mean, we're with you.
We know it's vodka.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, you know.
It's okay. It's
some things
nothing
never
wrong with it.
Yeah.
What kind is it? Taka?
Pinnacle. No. It's
Taka.
not. No, Taka's like the $5.
Is it like a plastic bottle or you did some of the glass bottle?
Well, it's Pinnacle, but see, there's the one size is in a glass bottle, and one size, like the big size that I get, is in the plastic bottle.
The liters are in the plastic bottle.
Yeah. Vodka's all the same most of the time.
I think
Pinnacle is made by Grey Goose.
See, it's like the cheap good vodka.
Yeah, it is a little different because Grey Goose will not mess your stomach up, and Pinnacle.
I think I'm so used to it that
mess your stomach up a little bit.
My stomach is aware of Pinnacle, so it just knows it.
Yeah, did I read, and Clay, you might know this better than I do, aren't all vodkas the same pretty much? It doesn't matter. It's like that alcohol that it doesn't matter whether you buy the $100 bottle or the $5 bottle, it's the same.
Potato water.
Pretty much.
I think that's right.
I mean, I think the way it's refined is what separates it. There's something, obviously, that separates it a little bit from one to the other to be able to justify that price, but at the end of the day, it's like boat beer, Miller Lite, Coors Light, Bud Light, all those, they're the same thing. Little tweak here, a little tweak there in barleys and hops. But at the end of the day, that's why when Bud Light screwed up, it was so easy for people to try another beer finally. Just kind of broke the habit of buying Bud Light.
Yeah.
And once they did, they're like, oh, all this shit tastes the same.
That's what I thought about vodka. Like, it's not like a bourbon where that is different, where there's just so many. You had Stephen O'Neill on, like probably the.
Oh yeah, that was phenomenal.
I get scared to even get around bourbon guys because I don't know enough about it.
Well, I can tell a story when we stopped by Stephen's house one night, and the next thing I know, Sean is stumbling out of there because he didn't realize what Stephen gave, and Stephen said, "This is going to set you on fire." And listen.
Well, I mean, challenge accepted, right? I mean, like if you're going to tell another guy, it's going to say you're like, yeah, I can handle it. I mean,
you couldn't.
That's the way we all are, though. We're never going to say.
Okay, so real quick, I googled are all vodkas the same and what makes them different, and the AI overview is no, not all vodkas are the same. While they are primarily known for being a neutral spirit, subtle differences in their production, including base ingredients, distillation process, and filtration, can result in varying flavor profiles. Even though the U.S. government defines vodka as a spirit with no distinctive character, aroma, taste, or color, some vodkas have subtle differences in these characteristics. Factors that contribute to the different vodkas are base ingredients, distillation, filtration, water source. Misconceptions about vodka. All vodkas are the same. This is a common misconception, as different production methods lead to noticeable difference in taste and aroma. More distillation equals, this is what I was curious about, more distillation equals better vodka. While more distillation can remove impurities, excessive distillations can negatively impact the flavor profile. And lastly, vodka has no taste or aroma. While it's a neutral spirit, vodka can have subtle differences in aroma. That's true. And of course, then there's flavored vodka, but it's not taking that into account.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of flavor does just a regular vodka have? It doesn't taste like anything to me.
Now, I tell you, have you ever tried Tanqueray?
No.
It's a gin.
Yeah,
Big
sure.
green bottle. Snoop Dogg made it famous.
Yeah.
Sipping on gin and juice.
Anytime.
Tastes like pine straw. Now that is a drink that to me all tastes the same from one gin to the other. Is gin. It all tastes like pine straw.
That's what you drank before I came along.
I used to drink a lot of gin.
What's that Russian one that's so good?
God, I can't remember.
The clear bottle.
It's oh God, what was the one that I used to drink? The really there's anyway. Oh God, now now if you hadn't said it, I'd remember. And I quit drinking gin several years ago because I was like, this is knocking me out too much.
Oh, whatever. It was because I was drinking vodka all the time. So then you just picked that up.
Yeah, that's true.
It was Beefeater is what I was thinking of. Beefeater is the bottle I was thinking of. But then there's, of course, Tanqueray is the number one in my opinion.
That's the one I didn't like, though. I'd always get sick when I drank that.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not.
It's the blue bottle. Is it Bombay?
I think that's Bombay.
What's the vodka that everybody drinks around? Tito's.
Tito's is like
Tito's used to make me sick.
Yeah, it's the Bombay gin. That's the one. That's the one I was actually thinking of. I'm sorry, it's the Bombay. But
there's London Dry Gin, I think, or that's a kind of gin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's right. I'm googling it myself, trying to remember. Tanqueray, Beefeater, Bombay Sapphire, and Boodles.
The Bombay, the Hendrix.
Hendrix is the one that I used to drink. That's the one I liked. Hendrix.
There's one. Are you looking at that same picture I am from 88 Bamboo? .co.
No.
There's one's like a big bottle on the far left of this picture at the top of the Google. It's a Roku gin. That's a badass bottle.
Yeah, gin has some actually really good bottles. They're really that's one thing about gin. Gin bottles are cool.
Oh, we're living in the golden age of liquor and beer packaging. I talk about this a lot on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in. I got a favorite gas station out here in Brandon. It's actually right outside the city limits. It's on the corner of Baker Lane and 471. It's R.J. Singh's place. It used to be Fuel Time. Now it's changed names, but he still owns it. It's a Shell, and they've got a massive. It's got a Subway in there. I highly recommend y'all supporting R.J. Singh's gas stations. Good Singh family, great people. They Anyway, they've got the best craft beer selection of about any store I've ever been in. And there's like not even like their calling card. They don't have it on the sign or anything, but you go in and they got such a big store and they got so much cooler space. They got all the cool beer, craft beer cans. And dude, a lot of that beer tastes like crap to me. I do like craft beer, don't get me wrong. But a lot of it is totally in the packaging because I've gotten tricked and bamboozled into buying stuff because it looked cool.
Yeah.
And then get home, I've committed to it, but it'll be the last time. But I do like to keep the cans. I'll end my little rant about all this with this. When I went to finance school, F&I school in Houston back in, it was November of 17. November of 16, because I was there election night because that was the first time I voted early or absentee voted or whatever. And November 7th was my sister's birthday. Oh, I fully support early voting and absentee voting.
Yeah, I do too.
So, but with all that said, there was a craft beer company there. It's called like something Sorority Blonde was the beer, and you can get it I got it at the Whole Foods there in that really high end district in Houston, the Woodlands, which is a really fun place. I went to one of those all you can eat steak places, the high end steak places that cook it and bring it all to your table, and the meat medallions and all that.
Bringing meat after meat after meat.
Yeah, it's just a fucking meat-a-palooza.
That restaurant that does that.
It's like a Brazil or something.
Yeah.
Brazilian steakhouses. That's it. Yeah, they had one in Memphis. I'm sure it's shut down by now due to Democrat death culture. But
there was one. There was one at the IP on the coast.
Is it?
Yeah, there was several years ago. I don't know if there is anymore, but there was one.
Man, do you know how bad they would screw that up if we had that here? It wouldn't make it a weekend. It wouldn't make it a weekend before the no tipper showed up.
Yeah, I guess it depends on where you put it, right? I mean, that's.
I don't think it would matter.
That would. Yeah, there's definitely not one of those around here for sure.
Hey, speaking of that, Sean, it was a couple of weeks ago. I joked around. I sent you and somebody, or I tagged you.
Texas Dave Bristol. That's the one
about the pickleball. I said, man, they were going to do. I saw there was a chain of pickleball sports bars opening. I said, that right there, guaranteed to keep the twerkers out.
Oh,
and I'll be damned if yesterday I didn't see where they've announced in Flowood, right at the old Antonelli College, right next to Primo's, they're putting a massive pickleball sports bar.
I'm guessing
they're not calling it a sports bar. It's called an entertainment complex, but still.
They've already signed on as a sponsor to your show, I'm guessing, since this is the whitest place there could ever be.
It is the whitest place, but I have a very large black audience.
I'm joking. That was a total joke.
No, but I was going to say it's a different kind of white, though, that would be into that, right? Like, that seems like it's more of a, I don't know.
That's not invited to the barbecue right there.
Yeah.
I am the barbecue.
Exactly. No, but all joking aside, I've never played pickleball, but I am kind of excited to go to it. It looks like this. The depictions I saw, it's a big, big place. I like big places. I mean, I like either really small dive bars or big, huge entertainment like Dave and Buster size places. So I'm excited to get a really big indoor place like that here.
There's a new restaurant in Ridgeland that I've been seeing advertised, and it looks really cool. I want to go try this place. It's Taste. Have y'all seen that?
I thought that was in Jackson.
No, there's somebody opened up. You know, I was the first person here to have a restaurant called Taste when we redid 105.
Not Tasty, right?
No, when we redid 105 upstairs, we called it Touch, and then downstairs it was called Taste. It was Touch and Taste, and we kind of did the ultra lounge vibe with it. Spent a lot of money. Really, we did. It was nice. Of course, it was downtown, but it did well on the weekends. And then I saw where somebody's opened up a place called Taste in downtown Jackson, and now they're opening up one in one of those two restaurants right outside of Renaissance that have never worked.
And I think the original one was in Star. From what I've read,
like right at the roundabout there.
Yeah, and it looks really cool. They've got this huge wall of like roses.
Yeah, it does. Well, I haven't seen the inside. I know Jake Wimberly. I think they're going to sponsor his show. I saw him out there doing some kind of like pre grand opening, something or another. I saw him posting pictures on social media, so I'm assuming they're a sponsor because I know Jake ain't doing it for free. But I should really start taking that advice myself. I give away a lot of free advertising. Anyway, neither here nor there. I wish them the best of luck, but it does look cool. Hopefully something will work there because everything they put in those two restaurants there has not worked.
Yeah, what is? I mean,
actually, it's three. I think they took the jewelry store. I don't even think they got the restaurant. They got the place that used to be the jewelry store.
See,
the one there's
Jonathan.
Like PF Chang's was over there.
It was PF Chang's, and then what's that? Robert St. John opened one, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I went there one time though. It was too much like fast foodie Italian. Yeah, it was just. It was like,
the vibe was really nice. We went one time for my mom's birthday, and it just wasn't good. And I mean, it was the service was meh at best, and the food it wasn't bad, but it just no flavor. I had really high expectations for a Robert St. John establishment. It happens, you know. It is what it is. I just didn't go back. I remember that day specifically though because I had a deer that Kylie had killed, and I had to drop it off at Van's Processing because it was on a Sunday and they were open. It was like I said, it was right around that November, my mom's birthday. It was around Thanksgiving. Anyhow, the Van's never given my deer back. Said I never dropped it off, and I have not been back and done business with Van since.
Really, I've heard. Is that the place I've heard bad things about?
I mean, you know, I give people the benefit of the doubt when you do as much business as they do, as far as people saying bad things and being unhappy with their deer meat, because they were like, to the best of my knowledge, they were the first ones around here. And I'm not trashing them here or nothing. I've had a lot of good deer meat from them. I get my regular sausage, my pork sausage, comes from Allen's Grocery, which is right across the street. Their family. So they make, my understanding is they make the pork sausage for Allen. So it's handmade pork sausage stuff, just like you would get deer meat with pineapples or pepper jack or whatever stuffings you like. So it's really, really good. They just argued with me and said that I didn't drop my deer off. I'm like, I'm not making this up, guys. I said, you know what? It ain't even worth it. Screw it. I'll just never bring another one back. And that was the end of that.
Yeah.
So I just remember that day getting that crappy food, that overpriced crappy Italian food, and then getting my deer stolen from me all in one day.
A bad day.
Yeah, and Jonathan mentioned there's the one I was thinking was a Taste off of Meadowbrook. There's a bar restaurant there called Taste. Yeah,
I think this one the originated in Starkville, maybe I think is what I read, and then they've expanded over here. I don't know.
Not sure, but yeah, nothing's that it's kind of like Renaissance has obviously done better than the district, but some of those restaurants it has the same kind of curse, not quite the district level curse, which is just if you open anything in the district, it seems like restaurant wise, it's going to go under. I'm surprised that people keep taking it. I think is it Derek Emerson opening a new restaurant over there? I believe that's right.
Where
is he
in the district? Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah,
the place over there. He's talking about right by Salamuki's.
Well, it's Eudora's that closed. It was fine.
That place was really cool in there too. I hate that closed. I heard that there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes going on.
Yeah, it seems like they had quite a bit of problems. I mean, this where Salamuki's was a couple different things before it was Salamuki's before Jeff bought it, I guess, and made it work. So it was a couple different Mexican places.
Hey, real quick, y'all, I want to plug the shit I'm wearing before we get rolling here. I just picked it all up. Shout out to my guy, but you can go over to buyfafo.com. We got a ton of new hats. You can see the FAFO logo on the side here. Got tons of different ones to choose from, and we got the Army green, military green, FAFO shirts. Got the full color American flag on one sleeve. Got the round Clay Edwards show on the other. We took Clay Edwards off from under the FAFO for people who may just want the FAFO. They still get my name on one place or another, but as far as like the frontage, the FAFO, my name is no longer on it. So if this is anything you guys are interested in, they're available online now in stock.
Clay, I like
FAFO.com.
I like the red one that has is it FAFO, but has got like the American flag on part of it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the 2A edition.
That's my favorite one.
You know, that's interesting, and I'm glad you liked it because it was probably my least favorite of them. But
that does not surprise me.
Well, frankly, it was why I invited a second set of eyes to do some logos, and I was
really like that one. It looks good.
I'm glad. I think it's going to be really popular at the Wildlife Extravaganza this weekend. That was my other thing. If you're going to be at the Wildlife Extravaganza, find my booth. We will be there all weekend, starting tomorrow around lunchtime till Sunday at 6.
Sean, we need to come out there. See
y'all let me know. I'll leave y'all's name at the door. I think it's $20 to get in, which honestly, for everything you get, it ain't bad. But I probably save y'all that.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's a big event every year, and it draws in a ton of people. So
they're expecting about 15, weather permitting. It's indoors, but there is some outdoor aspect to it with the fishing rodeo and stuff they're doing there, and some of the kids stuff outside. But they're expecting 12 to 15,000 this year. I think they did around 12 last year with some some bad weather. Then they had 15 or so the previous year. So they're expecting a big year. They got a lot of vendors. They got like 50 new vendors. The Buck Commander people, that's the Duck Dynasty people, for people that don't know, they're coming over. Now, I don't know if the celebrities are coming, but the Buck Commander company is coming with a lot of their stuff.
Of course, they always have Ashley, obviously, but then they usually have some.
Yeah, Ashley's going to be there. Heather's going to be there. Heather Smith with Naked and Afraid. Andy Gibson's going to be coming and doing a speech, as well as giving away some guns. Because they're a 501c3 charity, whatever it is, they're actually allowed to do gun giveaways. So everybody who comes in gets a ticket. I believe it's everybody that comes in gets a ticket. You don't have to buy a separate one. And you automatically are qualified to win a free gun. I'll be giving away some guns. Andy's going to give away a gun or two. So he's going to be there around 2. If anybody wants to hear Andy Gibson speak about his gubernatorial thing, his race, he's going to be there. His campaign, is the word I was looking for.
I told Sean, even if it's just, hang out and meet some of the listeners.
That's why I'd never been to it, because I'm not a big outdoorsman. I mean, I like stuff outdoors. I'm not a hunter. I'm not a fisher. I love it. I love people that do it. I love hearing about it, talking about it. I love going to deer camp and cooking and shooting. I don't like going and sitting in a tree and doing all that stuff. I like doing all the other stuff, though. I started going a couple of years ago just because I said, hey, surely this is a WYAB Clay Edwards Show audience. And I was dead on. It was absolutely a big, friendly audience. So I highly recommend from a promotional standpoint to get out there and let people see your faces and meet people. You'll be blown away at how many people recognize you.
Yeah, that's what I was telling Sean. Maybe we'll come out there.
Yep. So, Sean, I hadn't really been on this myself, but Lindsay, I guess you shared it to our group text, and Lindsay said the same thing, is that, dang, this story is all over the place.
That's all I've seen all day.
Which one are we talking about? I thought.
Let's tell people what we're talking about first. The Coldplay cheating, the Coldplay concert cheating.
Yeah, because the reason I'm just interrupting, because there's a huge drama fight going on right now. The Wall Street Journal. Have you heard about the Wall Street Journal story that broke about an hour ago?
No.
You haven't? Okay. Well, so the Wall Street Journal broke a story that releasing, I guess, describing a birthday card that Donald Trump had given Jeffrey Epstein for his 50th birthday. You hadn't seen that story yet?
Oh, he's suing him. That's fake news.
Yeah, he's responding on Truth Social right now. Like, I keep going through several ones, and it's pretty fascinating. Even the vice president has responded too, using cuss words and everything. I mean, it's gotten quite exciting on there. So. Yeah,
I wasn't sure what you were talking about, but as I was logging on, I had one of my I was watching D-Day Jeremy with D-Day Cobra on doing a stream, and the title of his stream was Trump suing Trump suing the Wall Street Journal or whatever it was,
I
or
thought
New York Times, or whichever one.
Yeah, Wall Street Journal. It's a Wall Street Journal. What I thought was interesting about that, I was telling Lindsay, is you know who owns the Wall Street Journal, right? Rupert Murdoch.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm wondering, are we going to see that kind of coverage on Fox News later? Because he owns both of them. He owns the Wall Street Journal and Fox News. So how does that work out in that sphere? Like, if it was the New York Times, I'd be like, okay, well, it's New York Times, but being the Wall Street Journal, and that's kind of part of the whole Murdoch empire. I thought that was an interesting place for this kind of attack to originate from.
I mean, I don't really know who's had a worse day. Is it what's his name in Canton who got convicted yesterday, or is it Trump with this Wall Street Journal story, or is it this man who went to a Coldplay concert and now he's plastered all over the internet? Is it Rudy Warnock, or the CEO that's plastered all over the internet, or Trump?
Well, I would say the guy that's going to jail for 20 years that just slit his wrist and throat are probably having the worst day.
Probably true.
It's probably, so, yeah. So I did think that dynamic was interesting between Rupert and Trump, I guess, who've been, I don't know what you say, quasi allies. And apparently the president had called him several times during the day, asking them not to run this story. And then he'd come out and said that he'd asked him not to do it because he's saying it's bullshit, right? And then Rupert ran it anyway. So I guess we'll see what happens now, whether he sues them over it or what's going on. But that's where it is at this stage right now. But it's getting heated on Twitter about it, between Trump and Vance and all them.
Yeah, interesting, I guess. I'm kind of meh over all of it.
Yeah, I mean, the Epstein stuff is just it's got people fired up.
Yeah, I mean, does it have anything to do with Epstein?
Well, yeah, this is about. Well, I guess it's just
about. Oh yeah, the birthday card. Sorry,
right, the birthday card between them. And I did. I
didn't mean the card. I just meant
the whole thing.
The whole thing. Yeah, the whole Epstein thing balled up into one big pile of BS. I think it's not going away.
Well, I did want to look into how the Wall. I was like, my first question was, how did the Wall Street Journal obtain the card? Or at least, how are they saying they obtained this birthday card? And what I found, it says the Wall Street Journal reports that the item was part of a leather-bound birthday album, which was reviewed by the Justice Department and FBI officials investigating Epstein and Maxwell. The journal itself reviewed portions of this album.
I have another idea of how they probably found it. Maybe it was in Ashley Biden's journal.
Maybe so. I don't know. I was just curious how they got.
They're all the conspiracies.
Well, I was wondering how they got, access to it. What they're saying, like, where are they saying they actually saw this card, which was the way they do, and that's what they're saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar enough with it to.
Yeah, no, I understand.
To really take a dive on it.
Yeah, no, okay, I got a couple other things too. That just happened.
Yeah, and I was on a Moms for Liberty Zoom call, so I literally got off the phone and came in here, so I haven't had a chance to look at any of it either. So I really don't. I'm just haven't seen it all yet.
There is a really good. We talked about it on the live stream. I mean, the radio today, about the senator in Hattiesburg. That Kingfish dropped an article about it this morning, and the one that is getting sued by the doctor because he was sleeping with the doctor's wife. Have you seen that one, Clay?
No. I heard y'all talk about it last night, and I got to listen to about 5 minutes of y'all's show today as I was pulling up to core therapy, and I heard y'all were talking about that as I walked in. But I'm not very familiar. I heard something about former Miss Mississippi that y'all are both friends with, or Lindsay's friends with, and she kind of got tied up with a guy she was dating or seeing or something, that was having an affair or something.
Yeah,
salacious.
I'll do it simply. So there's a Senator Chris Johnson out of that Hattiesburg district who's running now. They redistrict, and I didn't know this. I had to look it up, but Lindsay probably knew it because she's all in the weeds of legislature, and I don't care about the legislature. But anyway.
Well, you should. Everybody should. Everybody should know who their representative is and who their senator is, and everyone should care about the legislature, and everyone should talk to their representatives and the people who represent them. They should actually go and vote for those people and talk to those people about what they like and what they don't, and how they can change the things and make the world better.
I like Fred. That's about it. Anyway, the Senator Johnson has got redistricted, so he's running in a special election, even though he had originally got elected through 2028. But anyway, so Senator Johnson had an affair with this woman, allegedly, who was the wife of a doctor, I guess a prominent doctor in Hattiesburg. He found out about it, and sued him, I think, in 2024. Well, he was dating a woman named Becky Pruitt, who was the former, I think she won Miss Mississippi in like 2001, somewhere around there. And she's also an assistant DA. That's an assistant DA in Hattiesburg. That's how I know who she is, through those connections, right?
Incredible person, incredible attorney.
Well,
one of my favorite people. I love her.
Well, he was dating her. And while he was dating her, he said, look, I had this affair with this married woman who's married to this doctor, and they discussed it or whatever. And I think it caused some contention in there. It was before their relationship, apparently, but it caused some contention. Well, then they broke up, and I guess he went back and started messing with the married woman again. I don't know if she was married at that time, but she was. And then, he kept talking to Becky Pruitt about it. Well, then when he got sued, the doctor subpoenaed the text messages between Becky Pruitt, the assistant DA, former Miss Mississippi, his ex-girlfriend, and Senator Johnson. In the text messages, apparently, it discusses the affair that he had with the doctor's wife. Well, he's trying to quash that subpoena, according to Kingfish's article, saying that Becky
Well, it's
Pruitt,
not just according to that. I mean, there's the documentation of it, the file. I mean, they filed it.
Right. There's well, I'll get into that. He's saying that his girlfriend was his lawyer, and so it's attorney-client privilege, even though she never represented him in any capacity. It'd be like Lindsay telling me something and then later saying, well, Sean was my attorney just because of the fact that he's a lawyer. You know what I mean? But there was never any attorney-client relationship. So she wrote a statement and filed it saying, hey, I've never practiced civil law. I never was his attorney. I was just dating the guy. And I'm glad to turn over my text messages, whatever, describing the affair. So that's been... So he basically texts his girlfriend, yeah, I was having this affair with this married woman, and he's trying to keep that from being discoverable down there, which of course is, he's worried about that for his election purposes this summer. But of course, and I read that on air. If you look, Clay, it's, my classic line, like, I love God, hate gays, love Jesus 27% more than my opponent. Well, he's got some of that, of course, on his campaign stuff, defending family values and all that stuff. So made it for a pretty funny drama, salacious scandal. So,
so just typical conservative, family values, hypocrite stuff.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, it was totally. But that extended to, other things, like I said, former Miss Mississippi, this doctor, and it's just become a big, and I guess the bigger issue, and you see people talk about this for years, and this might be better. We can go down, we don't have to know much about the facts of the case to go into this rabbit hole. There's only like 6 states that still have this tort, which is called alienation of affection. And that's where you can sue somebody for, having an affair with your wife because you're saying it alienated her or your husband, either or, that alienated that spouse's affection for you. So that's still, like, I think it's Mississippi and like 5 other states that still allow this tort. It's a civil cause of action where you can sue for this. And there's been a lot of debate, like, should we still have this kind of lawsuit where you can sue somebody for having an affair? You know what I mean? And so there's I'd like whether you should be able to do that or not.
Hey, look, I've heard so many people mention that over the years. I'm like, you suing Buddy Lee for screwing Peggy Sue? What are you going to get? The door off a single wide? Stop.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
always trying to sue somebody when they ain't got nothing.
I think it seems like it's actually used more strategically when it's, well, obviously wealthy people, because maybe you could get something, or politically damaging, like in this situation. Because I mean, I'm sure if the doctor, if Chris Johnson was a broke guy, he wouldn't be suing him, or like not a politically, local famous guy.
I don't know about that. I think people are angry when you get cheated on. It doesn't matter if somebody has money or not. You're after blood, especially with this being someone in the political arena. You can ruin their reputation. It's not about money.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it even has to be about money.
I'm saying in this aspect, it's definitely to ruin his political reputation, not for money or anything.
How long had him and his wife been together?
I don't know exactly. I don't know how long he'd been with his wife. I think quite a while, but I'm not sure how long.
Cause I'm gonna break some news here to women and they're not gonna like this, but powerful men cheat.
Not all of them.
The overwhelming majority. They do. And powerful men, rich men, they have options and they explore them a lot of the time. So I'm just saying, be aware of that if you get into a relationship with somebody rich and or powerful at some point in their life, that there's a good chance that they have options. And most people, not all, most, are as faithful as their options. So just throwing that out there.
Well, in this aspect, it was the doctor's wife though that cheated. But I know what you're saying. I know I get what you're saying.
But he's talking about like the fact that he's a senator, so he.
I don't know if he was. Power. I don't know if the senator was married. I think maybe he was married at the time. I'm not exactly sure. I know it's. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure his status at the time. Of the affair.
I'm sorry. I had that spun around then. So he was not married. I mean, he's not the one that was married. I got it.
But actually, I think he was.
He may have been.
I'm actually pretty sure he was. When the affair started, I believe they were both married.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it's the doctor that's suing over his wife, suing Chris Johnson, the senator, over his wife for having an affair.
I'm going to be honest. This is one of those things I'm trying to pretend to be interested in, but these kind of things just really don't interest me.
Well, you know what's crazy is that somebody was saying something about Becky Pruitt's age, and she looks I don't even know what they said, but the one thing that I love about, I'm just going to take this moment to talk about how great Becky is, because I think it's insane that she's gotten pulled into this mess, but she was actually Miss Mississippi and was literally in Atlantic City at Miss America at 9/11. And so she had to like watch all of that take place and then continue to compete for Miss America. And I've had the utmost respect for her since I've known her. And I hate that she's actually being pulled drug through the mud in this mess.
Well, we're also talking about it because Kingfish called me this morning and was like, "Are you going to talk about this on air?" I was like, "Okay." So I started reading about it because he's got the article.
Well, this man is up for. He is in a special election, and his primary is August 5th or something like that. So it is coming up.
Yeah, I mean, and you'll see it. That's going to be interesting. Does it? I'm sure down there in Hattiesburg, everybody, smaller towns, everybody's talking about it. So we'll see how that hits him.
Is he running against is it a special election against a Democrat?
I don't know.
It's a primary. It's got to be against a Republican.
I bet it's a primary. Okay, that's how she was in a primary. Well, yeah, then he's got problems. If he's running against a Democrat, I'll still vote for a cheating Republican over an honest Democrat.
Well, he'll probably win if it's versus a Democrat. I would think it wouldn't matter.
I think it's District 44. Is that right? Senate District 44.
I have no clue. I couldn't tell you which district I live in. I think this is 60 or something like that. And only because Fred's got it in the title of his page.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, I don't know the dynamic. You're right. I mean, it's good. He's okay. Here it is. He goes into a Republican primary August 5th against Christopher Lott. So he's running. He's running against another Republican.
Is he related to Trent from down in Hattiesburg? Highly likely.
Well, I mean, it is Hattiesburg area, so that seems like it could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm guessing that's probably got something to do with the Lott family, and they were very, very well established down that way, right? It was Hattiesburg, big Southern Miss folks.
Were they Hattiesburg or the coast? I couldn't remember which one.
Well, South Mississippi. Take either splitting hairs.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Splitting hairs.
Well, so what happens, but we'll see. But hey, look, I was just trying to find stories today, and
there's lots of stories.
All right. Well,
don't forget about Annabelle.
Oh God, we went through the Annabelle thing last night. But anyway, So anyway, I don't know, what do you got, Lindsay?
Well, I mean, there's lots of stuff. I mean, we can talk about how crazy people are that are out
I got one.
Go for it.
Unless you've got something specific you want to talk about.
No, go for it.
Sean, pull that video I got there.
Yeah.
Pull that up on the screen.
I'm trying to. Okay, got you right there.
So I talked about this on my show today.
Some stories I could talk about that y'all probably don't want me to talk about right now. That's all I'm gonna say.
Sure. So Obama thinks that we should all have that we've gotten too masculine, and we all need gay friends.
Sean missed this morning. Sean, I need you to because Clay actually called you out on air. He's like, Sean, paging Sean Yerker.
Oh. Well, hey, go ahead.
Obama needs some friends. I wasn't calling you gay. I was saying your boy needs some friends. And he is so much so that he's telling the rest of us that we all
like gay friends.
I'm saying he's gay and is looking for some friends. So he's like, hey guys, I'm here. I need some friends. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Everybody needs a gay friend.
I got you.
I'm lonely. All right, let's play it here.
These are the kinds of things that I just miss. Mm-hmm. Right. So I don't even know this stuff's going on.
Right.
And then somebody will mention it to me and I'm all like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
There hasn't been one moment in our marriage where I thought about quitting.
No, that was the wrong.
Does he sound different to y'all? I feel like he sounds different than he used to sound.
Here it is.
Voice
I don't know.
Is
he sounds right. He sounds the same to me, but Anyway, we'll play this. It's only a minute and 10 seconds.
And that's one of the things that I think a lot of times boys need is not just exposure to one guy.
Mm-hmm. One dad.
No matter how good the dad
is. He can't be everything.
He can't be everything. And that boy may need somebody to give the boy some perspective on the dad.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
One of the most valuable things I learned as a guy was I had a gay professor in college at a time when openly gay folks still weren't out of line, who became one of my favorite professors and was a great guy and would call me out when I started saying stuff that was ignorant. You need that to show empathy and kindness. And by the way, you need that person in your friend group so that if you then have a boy who's gay or non-binary or what have you, they have somebody that they can go, okay, I'm not alone in that.
Did you say non-binary?
He did. He also went on a spiel about how they're still really Democrats are still so confused about how they've lost the masculinity battle, and how any man that's not very effeminate or gay has kind of abandoned the Democrat Party, at least on a national level. They're really, really confused by this and don't understand that we're not all gay, non-binary, or feminine. I mean, I have gay friends who are not feminine at all. They're actually very masculine. So I find it rather insulting that he just assumes that because we're masculine that we don't have gay friends.
I just think this is a total different Obama than the one that was elected president, to be completely honest with you. The one that was elected president was able to get up there and speak and give the world hope and vision and made everybody excited about America. At least that's what the consensus of what it felt like at that time.
In his defense, he's sitting across from his wife and his brother-in-law doing this podcast, so that can make things
like they're on. From what I understand, they're on rocky ground. That's what all the reports have said, and usually
that's what that other video was addressing that I accidentally played. I actually listened to a big chunk of this earlier today. It's actually not bad. It really isn't bad, and I will say that Michelle came across very, very. I don't know if authentic is the word I'm looking for, but I'm no longer on the camp that she's a man.
Oh, I was about to say this, and I was afraid it was going to piss you off. But I've always told Sean I really don't think she's a man. I think she's always kind of been a class act until the DNC this past year when she got up there and talked crap about the non-binary and the transgender. Like, where did all of this come from? Like, if they would leave all that mess alone, I'd have so much more respect for them. I always liked what Michelle Obama did in office. She went into the schools. She wanted to make them healthier. I appreciated her for that.
But she did a terrible job of that.
Well, I never thought she was a man.
Terrible. So they did address. We can play it real quick. They did address the. Sean, you'll have to add this back. Give me 2 seconds. They addressed the marital rumors. It's only 35 seconds, so it won't take long at all. Obama said he wasn't even aware the rumor was going around until somebody brought it to his attention. I'm like, well, that's typically how rumors work. You don't know about them until somebody tells you. But anyway, here we go.
These are the kinds of things that I just miss, right? So I don't even know this stuff's going on.
Right.
And then somebody will mention it to me, and I'm all like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
There hasn't been one moment in our marriage where I thought about quitting my man. And we've had some really hard times. So we have had a lot of fun times, a lot of adventures, and I have become a better person because of the man I'm married to.
Okay. Don't make me cry now. Right at the beginning.
I will say she comes across sounding very feminine there without a lick of masculinity in her voice. I'm being dead serious because I have often really thought that she was a man, and I thought that was the reason they were pushing this whole transgender thing, is that we were going to come out and find out that she was actually a man. It was kind of like a soft reveal. I'm being dead serious. I've always thought
Sheila was feminine. I always thought
I've never thought she doesn't look feminine at all, but she sounded very feminine there. I'm like, okay, she's actually a woman. And I feel kind of bad about saying she was a man. But
I do think that's.
It was a good interview. It was a good podcast. Yeah, at least I listened to Anton Daniels kind of play it and break it down. And he went into he's a conservative black guy, but he went into this whole thing about, how much better it's still to this day that if you ran Bush 2 against Obama, he would still vote for Obama over Bush 2. And that leads me to this. I want to ask y'all this. So I've had this on my mind since I was in the red light bed or the red light therapy thing earlier. If you could run the election back today, and this is probably more of a question for conservatives than it is Sean. I know Sean's answer.
I do have
he would absolutely vote for Obama. But what you know now, especially after 8 years of Obama, and 8 years of Bush, if they could both run again today, who would you vote for?
I think I'd vote for Obama.
2, W or Obama? If you look at what they both accomplished in their 8 years, Bush destroyed the economy. Obama really didn't help him. I don't know. I really don't. It's kind of conflicting. Obama saved the car companies.
Yeah.
Bush.
I vote for Obama. I really do. I think that's where
sent us into an endless war. Obama didn't do anything to get us out of the endless war. So I don't know. I mean, I ask the commenters, who would y'all vote for today, given what you know about both of them? Who would you vote for today if they could both run for a third term? Even though Obama technically did have a third term with Biden and it went terrible.
I have a question for you, Sean. When you watch that, because I know that you really love Obama. You loved Obama. He was like your favorite president.
Well, he's not my favorite president, but I like him a lot. Yes.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I mean, yeah. And I understand why you liked him. When you see him say those things, because I know how you feel about your dad. I've heard you talk about your dad numerous times and how he was that influence on your life and the values that he instilled in you. So when you see Obama say that, does it bother you?
Not at all. Actually, I understood exactly what he was saying.
Really?
Yeah. I think there's, I think a lot of people don't really necessarily have that. Not first of all, people aren't all knowing. I mean, you can learn so much. I learned a lot from my dad's friends, for instance.
But were they gay?
No, I'm not worried about the gay thing.
But that's what he was saying.
I think he was also saying I think he was saying people of different thing, like life experience. I don't think he was saying just gay. He mentioned gay, but I don't think he meant just gay people. I think he meant people, just other people listen to, there was a lot of mentors I had I think most people have mentors through their lives. I can name a lot of them that kind of were, I guess, quasi father figures to me. And, were really impactful, and I'm really benefited from that relationship. I don't know. I'm sure everybody's got that kind of thing, You don't think so? I mean, Clay, what do you think? Then you have people that mentored you over the years that weren't related to you, that you would have considered that way?
Sure. I mean, removing the gay part of that conversation. Yes, I've had men that have mentored me. My father's obviously a huge mentor, but I've had other men who have been very, very important in my life, and I've given them credit consistently on my show and stuff over the years. Yeah, I think there's plenty of room and if you're a strong man, that's confident in your position with your family, you don't mind another man being a mentor to your children as long as you know that it's from a good place.
But why do we have to go to that point where it's non-binary or transgender or
I'm with you. You don't have to go to that point. That point was ridiculous. But his initial point about, it goes back to it takes a village to raise a child is kind of what he was saying, in my opinion. That's what I got out of that.
If the village is the government, then F off. I don't want that village.
But I don't think that's what he was saying initially.
I don't think that's what he was saying.
No, I don't think it is either. I don't think it is either. But a lot of times people say that, and then the government is a part of that village.
But there's been some, older guys that really that I, really look up to, that really helped me out, kind of guided me over the years. And I mean, I hope everybody has those kinds of situations. If you get to meet people like that throughout your life, I think it's a good thing. Other than, I was obviously fortunate to have my father, which was, had the most impact, but I think I think meeting those people throughout yours is very important,
But how do you feel like your dad would have felt if there had been a gay man or a non-binary man? Do you think he would have wanted that person to have an impact on your life?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how to answer that. I don't know.
I can answer this. Me and my dad never had that kind of conversation about like gay men or we never had much of a conversation about race or any of that stuff in my house. We had gay people that worked for us over the years, I don't know what I'm saying for us, worked with us over the years. And it was just never a conversation that came up. I mean, we have our jokes and stuff, like guy jokes, locker room talk, whatever you want to call it. But my dad was never like, oh man, be careful around him. He's gay. You bend over, he's going to do something to you. Or, be careful. The gay guy's going to slip something in your drink. We never, any conversations like that or anything. And like I said, my dad's very
Maybe it's a Yazoo City and me. My dad wouldn't have been okay with it.
never a conversation, never a conversation, never a concern, or there was never the gay agenda wasn't a thing when I was growing up. The LGBTQ agenda had not matriculated into our daily lives when I was young enough to be influenced by anybody. There was no grooming going on. I'm not saying that people weren't grooming, but not in my circle.
My dad would have been like, nope. That's no, those are not going to be the people who are going to pour into you, not someone who says they're non-binary, which even knows the heck that means.
Well, I think Obama he kind of hit two things there. He was saying that you need a gay friend. But I mean, he did, well, let me circle back. He did mention that his gay friend was his professor.
Right.
So that was a person of influence in his life that was a gay person that would put him back in check. I've talked about this a lot with having, and I hate the term my black friends, but it's relevant to this conversation. I've talked about a lot, having my black friends who will put me in check still to this day, that if they feel like I do cross the line or if I am providing improper context to a conversation about race, they'll be the first to tell me, hey, you were wrong there, and here's why I think you were wrong. And those are very valuable friendships to me. But I will not entertain that conversation from anybody white. I will only entertain that from somebody black. So I don't know. Take that for what it's worth there. I think it's good to have a diverse friend group, obviously, but I don't think that young men should be running out seeking the guidance of, like intentionally seeking the guidance of somebody of a different sexual agenda just for the sake of it. No.
Yeah. And, I've always been not so harsh on Michelle or Barack. And this, Sean, I've always talked about how good of a public speaker Barack is and how I have appreciated the things that Michelle has done. This is what throws me. This is what bothers me. When you get up at the DNC and you preach about the trans and the non-binary, and then you want to make a comment like this, like you need a gay. I mean, why should it matter? This is the woke agenda.
I will say, I mean, I agree with what you're saying to an extent. And what I mean by that is this: I don't think you should seek out anybody because of whatever their status is, gay, black, Asian, whatever. I think, friendships should be more organic than that. You shouldn't be like, hey, look, Mr. Black guy, I'm trying to have a black friend. So nice to meet you.
The token.
Yeah. Or like, hey, gay guy, like, I don't think you should, I've got a really diverse group of friends, and, different races, ethnicities that we've been best friends since high school, but that just happened organically. We just met and all of us became friends since we were 16. And that's just the way that went. I don't think you should intentionally recruit, but I think, it's also good to not, I think as we do. I mean, I was talking to, a couple of black friends of mine about this the other day. You naturally are going to veer off to people that are your same race or even, ethnicity. That happens. White people group up, black people group up. It's not just, one race that does that, because people just feel more comfortable initially. But so, I mean, I guess it's good to break away from that, but I don't think you should just intentionally try to pick, for the purposes of picking a person from a different group. I think if you do meet somebody from another group and become good friends, that's a great thing, because it opens you up to a lot of new perspectives that you may not have thought about.
Oh, well, maybe if you meet somebody from that kind of group, you should try to get them some help for their mental illness because they think there's something they're not.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying that I think, if I think it's great if you do know people from a diverse background. That's what I'm saying, but not that you should force yourself to do it either. I guess that's my point.
Yeah.
And I do want to say, go ahead, Clay.
No. I was just saying, I kind of agree. I don't agree with Obama. So I don't agree that you should be seeking out people to be your friend just because they're gay, or people to be your mentor just because they're gay. I think that, that's something that needs to naturally matriculate. And like any friendship, it shouldn't be forced. You shouldn't seek that out. I think that you should just put yourself in situations, and if you enjoy somebody's mentorship, their sex should be damned. They should, I don't think somebody being gay should define them as a more rounded out person or a better mentor, no more than I think just because somebody's straight, they're a more rounded out or better mentor. There's plenty of mentally deranged straight people out there as well.
Yeah.
So I don't, to me, again, I think we talked about this last night, or maybe I talked about it today. I don't care who you sleep with. or what your sexual preferences are, as long as they stay in your bedroom. I don't want to, look, it's one thing to locker room talk and joke around about sex stuff, or your gay buddy or your straight buddy that you call him gay, making just guy jokes. That's one thing. But I truly do not care what your fetishes are, what you like, or who you like, or what type of person you like to do in your bedroom. Just keep it there. I don't care.
I don't know.
Don't leave it there.
You said something today about, and I knew exactly who you were talking about, and I think he's a great person too, but you said, your daughter has a really good friend and he's a friend of yours, and you feel safe, your daughter's safe when she's with him and he's gay. Well, I have my daughter, my 16-year-old also has a really good friend who's a gay guy. And I agree. I have that same stance. Like, I know that I can trust him. He will, talk to me about anything. I love him to death. One of my favorite.
And I didn't mean that in the, I don't have to worry about him trying to sleep with her way either.
No, I know
she's 23 years old.
But
he will protect her in a public. He's not going to let anything happen to her.
I knew exactly what you meant. Absolutely. Okay. I completely get that. And I feel the same way. I also think, though, that that's a different. I think when we get into all this trans and non-binary stuff, I don't want that crap around my kids.
Right. And I think these are two different things. Yeah. There's gay, and then there's the LGBTQ agenda. And I don't want the agenda or people who were socially, what's it called, a social contagion? People who became what they are because of a social contagion. We've all got those gay friends in our life, all of us. Yeah. I don't care who you are. You do have those gay friends in your life or family members that they've been gay since they came out the sack. They didn't know it, but I firmly believe that some people are just born that way. Now you can be groomed into being straight, but I think some people will disagree with me on this. I firmly believe there's a gay gene, and
the vaccines.
Well, I don't know about that, but maybe you could convince me of it. I promise. But I firmly believe there's a gay gene, and because we all know those people who are those guys that are just super duper feminine. They were raised by the man in the house, the whole 9 yards, and they've been gay since they were old enough to talk. And that's okay. But we all know those type out there, and I have no problem with those people, man. And I don't like that they get lumped in with this LGBTQ agenda stuff. And then to me, that's a whole different thing than somebody trans or non-binary or all this other crap. There's gay and there's straight. And those are two things I will accept. All the other shit, I will not accept.
Yeah, I agree.
That's where I'm at. And that's why I always, I don't like having to put qualifiers on things, but I really, really, really don't like being called homophobic because I am not homophobic. I firmly am not homophobic. I'm not gay either, but I fully support my gay friends and people that I know, my family members who are gay or whatever. I don't care. But it's the agenda, it's the social contagion crap that I have a problem with.
Yeah, I agree. And
that's my stance on
it. And I see like I don't know, pro debate says, but look, trust me, I'm not done talking about Epstein. That is not going to stop. I promise you, it's not going to go away. And I believe that Trump should be held accountable. And so I want you, I see you in the comments, and I want you to know that I fully stand behind someone getting in there and forcing him to do the right thing and release the files.
Well, I
want to say this too. It's not healthy to only want to talk about one thing. I appreciate pro debates being very active, but it's not healthy to only want to talk about this one thing. I'm not going to only talk about one thing. We can also talk about it, but I'll just not be a part of the show if that's all we're going to talk about.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. I'm not going to forget about it and not talk about it, but it also can't be the only thing we talk about. Does that make sense?
I mean, if we had Trump's ear, sure. I sit here and I would absolutely wear it out if I had his ear. We don't have his ear, but it's our job to acknowledge that this is a problem, and if we're going to talk about it, I'll talk about it every day. And if it invokes conversation that takes 10 minutes or 10 hours, that's fine. But I'm not going to feel like I'm obligated and or forced to talk about something just because it is what it is. I ain't doing that.
I do have one quick Epstein update. So just 12 minutes ago, the president ordered Pam Bondi to release all the grand jury testimony related to Jeffrey Epstein. And his statement said, based on the ridiculous amount of publicity given to Jeffrey Epstein, I have asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce any and all pertinent grand jury testimony subject to court approval. This scam and caps perpetuated by the Democrats should end right now. So he's
won.
Well, there you go.
Won.
The people
I see. It's a pertinent. It's a top trend on Twitter right now. I see it over here now.
Debate. Are you seeing this? Are you seeing this? Like, we've talked about it, and you've talked about it, and I saw you this morning in the comments too on Clay's show, and I get it. Like, you're passionate about it, and I understand that. I'm that way with the vaccines, but and that's what it takes. It takes holding our elected officials accountable. Hopefully, this will happen. Hopefully, that we will get the transparency that we deserve, because that is what breeds trust.
Yep. Yeah. So I guess we'll see what's in the grand jury testimony. That'll be interesting. That'd be, I don't know. I guess nobody's ever moved the court to unseal that before. So that'll be, I don't know who's, obviously we don't know who's testified before the grand jury, or maybe we do. I haven't dug that deep into it, but it'll be interesting regardless.
So Corinthian says, I'm going to pull a Lindsay here. Corinthian says, you're right, Clay. Because I believe, because I believe there's a Ho gene there too. No doubt about that. He also says, besides Candace Owens, got that on lock. More than enough platforms talking about this. I agree. And so I got a text message on the Guns of Your text line from a listener today. It goes by the name Mansplain. And he really, I won't say who he didn't like at the station. I'll just say this. He really appreciates he really appreciates the shows that keep it as local as possible. And I'll say this all the time. I know that when we're discussing national stuff, that I'm not the best guy out there at all. But I do know when we're discussing local, I got a puncher's chance at being considered the best in the market at local talk, as do y'all. So I would much rather stick with what I'm really good at, and that is talking as much local as possible. There are way too many big dogs out there that do national really, really well, and you can get that from a gazillion places. I would rather you get good national, not just me giving you a watered down opinion on national that I'm probably hearing from somewhere else. I mean, and I have my own opinions. I'm not necessarily saying I'm influenced by other people, but I think we all really are influenced by kind of what we hear, because I like to listen to different opinions. And I can hear something from somebody on the left and be like, that makes sense. I can hear something from 3 different people on the right and think they're wrong, or pick something apart from all 3 that I like and then form my opinion. But I really do try to keep it as local as possible. And when I get texts like that, it reminds me to not get too knee deep sitting here every night discussing national stuff from the beginning of the podcast to the end of it.
Well, I think that's what we kind of decided when we all 3 decided to do this, that we were going to make this a local.
Yeah, I think last night was completely everything local. The whole entire show was local news.
And sometimes, it's hard to, because just like I had to pull that senator story, because there wasn't really anything we'd already discussed Rudy Warnock. Everybody knows what happened with him. Mm-hmm. There wasn't a lot of stuff, and y'all listen out there. That's another thing. Like, trust us, we're constantly up checking the news updates to see if there's anything local, but it's hard sometimes because sometimes the local stories are just so bad that there's not really anything interesting.
It's not even that. I'm sure
it is that.
I'm sure we could find enough local stuff to talk about. It is the fact when there is a shit show going on nationally, it's hard to not recognize it.
Some stories are too big to ignore.
Right. Yeah. Agree.
And this Epstein thing is too big to ignore. Like GM was too big to fail. So I'm not going to stick my head in the sand just because I want us to keep it local either.
Yeah, no, I mean, but also what I meant about the I was trying to finish. The thing about local stories is, we could sit here and read like, I'm using a different city as an example. Like, there's a new panda at the zoo, or, these just, some of them are stupid and there's not going to be much of a discussion about the issue. You know what I mean? There's just not, some local stories or most local stories are like that. And I mean, so you're really stuck with crime and maybe a couple local happenings. So it's hard to get the really, pull the time out of everything local. So it's not as easy as everybody, might think.
Yeah. I mean, that's why people get mad at me, especially the real pro Jackson, or the people who think I'm just picking on black people, this, that, and the other. Guys, I'm just talking about what's in the news. You know, I've often said I can't help who commits the crimes. I talk about my news my show at the end of the day primarily is a news reaction show. It's not a show that you're tuning in specifically for motivation and inspiration. We may go down those aisles, and I'll use my life as a shining example of you can screw yourself up and bounce back to some extent. And if anybody can take motivation from that, great. You know, I can talk about that all day. I enjoy that kind of content. That's probably the kind of content I consume the most of is self-improvement content, self-improvement YouTube. But I understand that that's really not what people are tuning into the Clay Edwards Show on WYAB or online. If we could sprinkle a little bit of that in there, great. But my show is a news reaction show. So we react to the news, mock, meme, laugh, cry, whatever it may entail. And if the news is all black guys killing other black guys, or all white people doing crap that white people are most likely known to do around here for some reason, it appears to be pedophilia and incest when they make the news, or meth or something like that, we talk about that too.
The dogs.
And dogs, yeah, fucking white people, having sex with dogs. Dang it! Well, there goes we just got deranked to the bottom of the pile.
Thanks, Clay.
Right. So we're
like we talk about, like, look, it's so funny because I get all these messages. Like, I wish I could. One day I may open up my DMs on the Facebook page and the Instagram page to the public, and let y'all see that when I get it from equal directions. Now I know Sean can't talk about this. So I just want to say this: like the big drug bust in Rankin County the other night, and all I'm gonna say is this: I got several messages from mutual friends of me and that guy who were pissed off at me for making a video about it. So I get it from both directions. When the white people get pissed off at me when I make videos about the white people, because they usually end up knowing the white people. Black people get mad at me because they think I'm not making videos about the white people. I'm like, guys, I'm making videos about whoever commits the crime. And sometimes I miss a story. It happens. But trust me, there's plenty of black stories that I don't report on too. There is. I know that's hard to believe, but there is. But when I reported on that story, I made that effed around and found out video about the big fentanyl bust. And of course, a girl that I'm really, really good friends with is in my DMs mad at me that I did it. I'm like, it's on the news. It's literally all over the news. And I do a news reaction video or show or whatever you want to call it. It is what it is. I know if I fuck up really bad, I'm going to be on the news and people are going to be making videos about me being on the news. And I just understand that that's the price you pay to play the game. If you're selling dope, allegedly, in Rankin County and you get busted, you're going to be on the news. And Clay Edwards is probably going to make a video about you. So it is what it is. I guess that's my warning label out there for everybody.
Did we ever find out what was going on this morning with all of the...
No, we didn't. As far as was that the guy?
The one that Annabelle let out of the prison?
Correct. No, my buddy Steve that sent me that asked me the same thing. Did I ever hear anything? And I say no because surely we would have heard by now. That would have been a national story.
I know, but what's going on there? I wonder, because it was a big deal. I mean, I was seeing it not just from you, but from other people too. Interesting.
I'm sorry. Say that last part again.
I said it's strange because I was seeing that, not just from you, but also from other people too. There's this big thing going down. Somebody said that they gave you a green flag on the T app. I saw Clay on the T app too.
Oh, somebody told me. I heard that I was on the T app. Yeah, it was you that told me I was on the T app. I was just looking at Barry. I was trying to see what he said because for some reason it's cutting off the edge of some of these texts on my comment screen. So explain the T app to me. I know what it is, but what is the green flag?
Well, there's those pages, are we dating the same guy? And they're asking for red flags, or they're asking for any tea about this guy because I've been talking to him. We met online. That's what it is. And so they put pictures up of these guys and their names. And then there's a red flag and a green flag. And then you can give them a red flag or a green flag and you can comment. You had some comments.
I'm sure. Now, look, people can say a lot about me, but I am a faithful person. And if I'm only dating one person, or I'm single, and I'm single. I'm not out there playing both sides against the middle. I knew at some point I would get put on one of those things just because when you're in the public, I have a public profile. People eventually are going to do it. I know who did it. There's only one person out there that's psychotic enough that's doing any of this stuff. We know who put me on there.
What's crazy, Clay, is that the comments weren't even about you with being with multiple women. It was about you being racist. I mean, those were the comments.
Yeah. I would love to know. The racism thing is so nauseating. But again, I can't help who commits the crimes around here. And I can't help that y'all's culture is trash. You know, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong.
I know, Annabelle's white. Annabelle's white.
Yeah. The doll is white. That's true.
She's white.
Yeah. Well.
I don't know what kind of culture that is, but it's kind of freaky culture.
Right.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, Jackson's the murder capital of the world, and it ain't white culture that got it there. So I'll say that again, there's a big difference being a racist and being a realist, and people just don't like it when you speak facts. And for some reason, if you criticize the black race and you're not black, that means you're a racist. Like, and I just refuse. I will never ever buy into that. I will never buy into that. I don't think if somebody black criticizes the white people for doing dumb shit that they're racist. So I don't know why the rules would be any different the other way around.
I have a question for both of you, and I want to see what your response is to this. How much of that Jackson crime that's black on black or black on white, whatever, do you think is gang related? Do you think that's the majority of it?
That's I think some of it, of course, is. I don't know how you'd break it down. I mean, there's a lot of gang. They're not as, there are some gangs in the city that are pretty organized, a lot of it is. I think a lot of it also is kids committing really stupid, acts of violence, like 15-year-olds arm robbing people that aren't necessarily gang affiliated at that age. Some of them are, I think, but it's I don't know. I wonder what the percent. I don't know what the percentage. But yes, there is a lot. I would
love to know that.
There is a lot. It's gangs. A lot of gangs do exist in this city. Trust me, I'm pretty familiar with all that stuff, and we've discussed that.
Yeah, we've discussed it, and then I know Clay interested a show on it, and I was shocked to hear them talk about it. That's the first time I had ever really heard about gangs being in this area.
No, there's definitely. I don't know how you'd break down like how much of the crime is versus just people that are unaffiliated with gangs. I don't know what the percentages would be. I'm sure law enforcement have that. It'd probably be hard for them because everybody that they catch is not going to tell them they're affiliated with a gang. You know what I mean? Like, they're not going to say it. Some will, a lot won't. It's hard. But there is, to answer your question, there's a lot of gang violence and gang crime in the city.
Clay, how much of it do you think is gang related?
Define gang.
Well, I guess I don't really know. The gangs are like what I know. Some of the names, big gangs.
The gang stuff has changed. Like, I don't look at it like people hear gang and they think Bloods versus Crips, and that's not what it is anymore. It's set versus set. Like, one half of a neighborhood versus the other half of a neighborhood. It's kind of like what a civil war would be like if one popped off today. It wouldn't be North versus South. It would be neighbor versus neighbor. Because it would literally be so fragmented that you can never have an entire sector versus another sector, so to say. And that's kind of the gang thing that's popped off in Jackson right now. It's 4 people can be a gang, and they call themselves whatever, the such and such boys. So if we're using that as gang, and I think that's a lazy way of describing it, because I don't think it's gang violence. I think they're just calling that it's this crew versus this crew. It's just extreme culture rot violence. You can call it gang and whatever, but it's not really gangs in the traditional sense like we've grown up, especially people Sean and my age that are very, have been brainwashed into thinking the gangs kind of are one thing: Blood versus Crips, Vice Lords versus folk, blue and black versus red and black, that kind of stuff. I don't want to speak for Sean. I'm just kind of lumping them in as Gen X and just kind of growing up with movies like Colors and Menace to Society and Boys in the Hood and all that stuff, and like that Hollywood version of gang culture. And what's going on in Jackson now isn't that. It's, 3 guys in a car are kind of called a gang now. Just like just like a mass shooting is anytime somebody more than 3 people get shot or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, there's mass shootings and then there's mass shootings. I wouldn't call it gang violence. I would call it culture right. It's culture right. It's daddy not being home. It's mama. It's the matriarchy. Or is it patriarchy? Which one is the women running the house? Is it patriarchy or matriarchy? I get them confused. Matriarchy.
I think there was what you're saying, Clay. Like, yeah, in our age group, maybe that time, even I'll just use this city, not like, and I'm not in like the Bloods and Crips example, which I think there were some little offshoots here at that time. But you had like the Wood Street Players and Grayhead, which was a little bit more organized than I think what you see today, like that 90s.
Yeah, I agree.
People started flooding from like Atlanta and.
Well, I'm saying in this city we had some like specific, really like that were real, I guess, quote unquote powerful gangs in that era that were here. Now we still have a pretty good influx of the vice lords and the gangster disciples that are well, decently well organized. But I think other than those two groups, I think they kind of go to what you're saying about the little like 3 people or Corinthian maybe is saying in the comments, like 3 people hanging out and they're a crew. That kind of
street versus street. Michael Reinwald chimes in. He's got his finger on the pulse of him. He knows he was fighting. He was on front line.
He absolutely knows.
Front line. He says probably 70%. I think I was going to say it's higher than 50%, but I was going to go closer to 50. That's just my spidey senses. But because at some point you just got to quit calling it gang. They call them their ops too. It's like it's my ops. And for people that don't know, that's short for opposition. Opposition.
I would have thought that meant operation.
It's an ops. No, that would make sense, but no, it's their ops, it's their enemies.
So what confuses me is when we see these violent people who just shoot randomly, like people going down the road in cars, they get shot.
Well, it was like that Capitol Policeman that got shot there at the McDowell Road exit the other day. I mean, I've actually got to see that video, and it is crazy. He's got somebody pulled over on 55 right at the McDowell Road exit. If you're coming north on 55, like from Byram, right at the exit there, Capitol Policeman's got a guy pulled over on the interstate, and somebody is coming up the entrance ramp or the on-ramp to the interstate and sees the cop and just starts unloading, driving, coming up the C-shaped on-ramp, firing out of his windshield, I think, or it would almost have to be firing out the windshield, not out the glass, to even be able to do it from the angle of the way because if he's coming up that ramp, he'd be on the left side. So he would almost have been firing out anyway. And the cop, I mean, it's phenomenal. The cop didn't get shot. The dog did. Got injured in it anyway. But that was, and the guy that was pulled over was somebody from out of town. That's lucky he didn't get shot. He didn't even have his boy pulled over. He just saw a cop and started shooting on the interstate like that. That ain't gang violence. That's fucking culture right.
Well, and God forbid the cops shoot back and kill the person because then they're going to be indicted for it.
Well, he did shoot back, and he didn't hit the guy, but he shot through the front of the car and hit the motor block, and the guy ran out of oil and stopped at a gas station, and that's where they got him there. It's crazy. Crazy. So yeah, that's not gang violence. Some people say, it was probably an initiation. That wasn't a fucking initiation. That was culture right. And you don't have that over here in I'm just gonna say it. People get mad at me. This ain't racism, this is fucking realism. You don't have that over here in the predominantly white counties. You just don't. You have that in Jackson. I know that makes people uncomfortable. But it just is what it is.
Hold on. But could that also be because Jackson is the more low income areas?
Poverty's a choice.
Not all the time.
Poverty's a choice. Yeah, all the time. All the time.
Not all the time.
All the time.
Well, if you're a 13-year-old,
explain to me how it's not a choice.
Well, I would say this. I mean, if you're a 13 or 14-year-old and you're where you're living in poverty, there's not much you can do about it at that age. I mean, I think you're kind of just subjected by your birth at that point. And there's a lot of that age group committing crime, 13 to 16, that that they don't have really a choice yet at that point. I mean, when they get older, they will, but not yet. So I think they're subjected to it at that point for sure.
Well, and that's culture, right? If you're 13 years old and because you're broke, you're out there just randomly shooting people, that's still a choice. That's absolutely a choice to go and shoot somebody. Yeah, sorry, you're wrong, Sean. It is a choice.
No, it's not a choice. Poverty impacting you is not your choice at 13. That's just the circumstances of your birth. If you're 13 years old,
some people get dealt a bad hand. That's just a fact.
I mean, if you're 13, it's a choice for them to go rob people at 13. That's correct. But it's by being stricken by poverty at 13 isn't their choice, because you're not. I mean, you can't pick where you're born.
Yeah, we're gonna disagree on this one. Yeah, obviously you can be born broke and you can choose to get unbroke. Yes, 13 years old, you're not in a situation yet where you can make enough money to get out of that situation. But you can definitely choose to not be like, damn, man, I ain't got a nickel. Let me go just randomly shoot somebody.
Yeah, I mean, you could pick that. I mean, that part is a choice. I'm just saying being stricken by poverty at that age isn't your choice. Robbing someone or stealing something is a choice. I mean, I get that from that part.
Being broke doesn't make you not forget the difference in right and wrong.
I completely agree with that. I'm just saying there are certain times in people's lives that they don't have a choice in it. Some people don't.
Yeah, sure, you can end up broke because of situations that weren't your choice, but you can get about that situation if you put your nose to the grind and figure a way out of it.
But sometimes that takes a little while. It doesn't happen overnight. And I'm not. Well, my point is, it doesn't mean that you have to go and commit a crime. That's what I'm saying. You still know right from wrong.
But yeah, you're making my point for me. Thank you. That's what I'm saying. You know right from wrong, and you can choose to write your ass about that situation. It may take a little while. Yes, I admit it ain't like flipping a switch. It never is. It took me a long time to get out of Jackson. But when I was in Jackson, I wasn't out there robbing, stealing, and killing. When I was broke living at my parents' house, I mean, it is what it is. You can make a choice and figure out something and go get yourself out of that situation at some point. We agree on that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that.
Okay,
completely.
so
I'm just
poverty is a choice at some point. At some point, it's a choice. You made a conscious decision that you want to stay on the porch and be broke.
Yeah, I mean, if you're 20 years old and stay on the porch, then I agree with you. I mean, like I said, it differ, but you're 13 now.
Yeah, but there's also different situations where some people didn't get a chance in it. They did everything
My
right.
point is about adults. I'm talking about adults.
Yeah, I mean, but there are adults that are handed circumstances that suck. And it takes a while to figure it out. That doesn't mean they have to go commit crimes.
Yeah, but they can choose to get about that situation or do the things that it takes to get out the situation. You can go get a job. You can live below your means. You can do a lot of things to get yourself out of a bad situation.
My whole point was some people didn't choose poverty, but it happened anyway.
Yes, and getting out of it is a choice.
Yeah, it is. It just sometimes takes a while.
Okay.
It's not like something that you can just like snap your fingers and like, okay, I've been dealt this set of circumstances and now I can just get out of it.
So I mean, let's just put this out there. So I'm assuming that the point you're making is you're probably from a woman's perspective. You're with a man, something happens, he passes away, whatever. You're stuck in a bad situation, several kids. You don't have the means to provide, and you're in a bit of a poverty situation. You're having to be dependent on whatever it is you may have to be dependent on, and you're looking at it from a different perspective than I am. I'm looking at it from the perspective of a grown-ass man or woman that has chosen to be lazy and not get a job and not do the right things and not keep her legs closed or not keep his dick in his pants and do the right thing, not stay high, not stay drunk, all of these things. There's a lot you can do to choose to not be in poverty and to not fall victim to the circumstances from being in poverty and being around people with low morals and everything else. You can choose to not fall victim to that. I know too many good people who have come from dirt, who have come about the mud, as they say, for me to believe that poverty isn't a choice beyond us after a certain point.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're talking about the general population, but I think Lindsay's correct in terms of like circumstantial. I'll give you another circumstance, like the homeless veteran problem that we have. Okay, I think that's circumstantial too. I mean, I don't think you can blame a lot of those guys are suffering from PTSD and dealing with other issues that aren't like the general public. I think that you're talking about a normal, healthy person that just chooses not to get a job.
My point is what you're saying. We agree. I'm not going to sit here and nitpick it to death. We agree. I'm talking about people who have the ability to not be broke out committing crimes. You know, we rarely ever hear about a homeless veteran out killing people in gang violence.
No,
I think that's the difference between the points we're making. I think we're on the same page. But I think we all understand, even if there are people who get in these they're dealt a bad hand and they are in bad circumstances, it doesn't mean they have to stay there forever, and it doesn't mean they have to go commit crimes.
Yeah, I don't think there's an excuse, for
being broke doesn't mean you have to be morally bankrupt.
Right? Yeah.
No, I mean,
exactly,
I just think I do. My only dispute is just I think there's different reasons for poverty than laziness. Sometimes, there's just different.
That's true.
If it's circumstantial for a lot of people for different reasons. Yeah, there's definitely
at least for a time.
Yeah, there's definitely the dumbasses just sit at the porch, and that's probably the majority that are in that position. But there is, it's circumstantial for a lot of reasons for different people. I think.
Yeah.
No one's born a loser. We're all choosers.
What?
So no one's born a loser. We're all choosers.
Tiffany says there are teenagers out there that come up with their own businesses and find jobs they can do. Yeah, go wash some cars, cut some grass. Don't sell dope. There are things you can do. I get it, man. A lot of us are products of our environment. It is tough. It's easy for me to sit here at 48 years old almost and doing what I do and speak like it's some easy thing to do to get up out of it. But at the end of the day, y'all have choices to make. Some people make good ones. Some people make bad ones.
Okay, here's my ones. To that point, when you are a mom with newborn twins, one who needs open heart surgery, you can't go get a job and cut grass. It's not an option. Well, there are times when it's not your choice and you're in a situation that sucks. It doesn't mean you have to go commit crimes.
Yeah, well, that's obviously not who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think we're all agreeing that there is circumstances, right, that can cause poverty that are beyond your control. I think that we agree on that. And
you're cherry picking these random whataboutisms that aren't part of what I'm talking about.
Well, because I think that you can't just put everything in one category.
And I'm not. But this conversation started on, did we believe that the crime in Jackson was due to gang violence? And then you asked, well, what about the poverty aspect? And I said, if we're talking about the crime, the poverty aspect isn't a good excuse for me. Do people who have been dealt a bad hand, can people who dealt a bad hand end up in poverty? These are two different. One's a socioeconomic conversation, and one is a moral bankrupt conversation. These are two different conversations that we're trying to blend into one for the sake of arguing, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Well, then that's it. Then I guess to your initial question, why has that caused? I'm going to try to phrase this correctly. Why has that caused certain groups to commit crime? Like that's their first option, is just to go out there on crime waves like we've seen. That's an interesting, I don't know what I guess you would say the catalyst for that. You know what I mean? Like where that's taught, like, hey, let's go robbing, let's go drug dealing, let's go do these things. Like where does that point start from? And I mean, it's got to start from somewhere. It's got to start from somewhere. Like that's just created a culture, or wherever you want to put it, that is fostered and acceptable.
Well, let's just assume that we're talking about like 18, 19-year-olds here, the people who are committing the majority of the crime in Jackson. So assuming we're talking about that group, right? That group, I believe, is highly, highly, and I know this is the old boomer answer here, but I think there's a lot of truth to this. And this goes back to why people call me a racist and stuff. I think a lot of it has to do with the fatherless epidemic and rap music. I think that way in urban Black culture, let me be very clear here, because there's a difference in this modern urban Black Democrat death culture. Rap music is treated like the Bible. It is treated like the Holy Grail, and people are sucked up into hip hop culture. And I just mean this filthy, nasty rap culture that we're currently in, the sexy red rap culture, the NBA young boy rap culture. That's all about murder, death, kill, sex, drugs, and violence more than it's ever been. And I think that without good parents at home to help steer kids going in the right direction, and that the dope boys and the rappers are becoming their father figures, so to say, their influence, the people in their lives. Yeah, I think that that's got a lot to do with why it's happening to a certain age group and a certain demographic. They're heavily influenced by the music that's telling them to go do all these things, or not telling them to go do it, but promoting this. I mean, it's like every bit of media they get in their life, every outside influence in their life is this terrible music, this terrible culture that's infiltrating these young minds. And there's no pivot the other way. There's no balance of good versus evil. You know, it's like the good angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other. It's only like two devils constantly in both ears.
Are you meaning
there's
like,
never a positive influence.
Are you meaning like local rap? I mean, I just know.
I know it.
Okay.
Clay. I don't mean to. I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
No, you're fine.
No, I think I know what Clay's talking about. I'm going to give you like from the prosecution perspective, even as a defense lawyer. When I was prosecuting people, there are a lot of people that a chunk of them that were committing armed robberies or whatever, and they had a rap album out or a rap. That was very common. I mean, that's just insofar as one trial I actually played the song, because they talked about all the crimes they committed in the damn song. So I mean, it was
Y'all aren't meaning like the national rappers or
that's as much of it. Yeah, that national, whatever. It doesn't matter where the music's coming from. It's infiltrating their brains, and then they all think they're rappers, and they think that like Dr. Dre and them weren't real gangsters. They were studio gangsters. You understood that. You understood that it was life imitating art, or art imitating life, should I say. And now it's life imitating art. Now they feel like if they talk about killing people and drug dealing, they have to back it up. And it ain't that they feel like that. Like the internet, the culture makes them actually have these things on their resume, or they'll pull their card, so to say.
Well, that was going to be my next question before, I brought that point up. Talking about 35 years ago with Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg, NWA, that whole era. Okay. There were some of them that were gangsters, not all of them, but some of them were. I think Eazy-E was. I mean, obviously Suge Knight, as we know.
I don't even know who those people are.
There was some part of that, and they were talking about essentially the same things rap music are talking about today. I mean, for the most part, right? I mean, maybe now it's a little more aggressive than it was 35 years ago, but they were talking about a lot of,
but they could create fake characters. They could be studio gangsters then, and you not know, for the most part. Now everybody can check your resume. The internet and social media and everything. And nowadays it's just changed. And if you don't understand that, I don't know that I can explain it to you, but it has absolutely changed. And I follow this, and I have followed this culture for a long time with my nightclubs. I booked more rap concerts than most people will ever go to. I know more rappers than most people can listen to. This is what I did for a huge portion of my life. I consider myself an expert on this. And I will argue anybody to the ground that wants to try to have this, that wants to try to debate this with me. What's going on in Jackson, a huge, overwhelming majority of it with these younger black kids in Jackson right now that commit these crimes, is because of the hip hop culture. And it's way beyond just the music. It's the entire culture that's a trickle down effect from this music. They all think they're rappers too. They've all got their little sets. I was going to say it earlier when you asked me about the gang violence, and I was referring to the sets. A lot of it is this rap group versus this rap group every time.
Well, I mean, we've seen that from back in history when the people getting shot, the rappers getting shot by each other. And what's the one that's still alive? Biggie. I don't know.
He's dead.
Well, I mean, they say he's still alive. It's kind of like
Tupac,
Elvis. Like, okay, that one. Whatever.
Yeah, they say Tupac's still alive.
Obviously, I don't listen to rap music.
Yeah,
that's why Tupac I turned out good and not.
Hey, I mean, that music of the early '90s was. Heck, I mean, if you really think about it, Clay, I'm sure you know this better than I do too. But what I remember is that was primarily purchased by white people, white kids at that time. Those were the. I
always felt like it was just like a beat, though. When I was a kid, the rap music that people listened to, I definitely wasn't paying attention to the lyrics and thinking I'm going to go out and kill somebody because it says to.
No, what I'm saying is I think the music was bought primarily by white kids at the early '90s. I think I've read that before. That was one of the drivers of that market at that time. I think that's right. I don't know. You probably know better than I do about it, but I mean, that's what I thought I remember.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be one of the things that people get upset with me about. But clearly, one group had a better foundation around them, to know better than to go out and start killing folks because they heard it on the CD. Now, white people here worship the devil and make human sacrifices and death music, and they will go. They go do that, the Swedish black death metal stuff. So I'm not saying that our side doesn't do the same equally dumb shit, but just not so much in the same mass. There's something pivoted with rap music and the culture. It got really bad, and it hasn't got any better, and it's influencing an entire generation. And I don't know if it's because of the fatherless epidemic or what, but it's seen as like the only way out. Somebody has convinced young black youth that their only way out of poverty is through rap music or the slim chance of playing basketball or sports or whatever, mainly basketball.
To that one point,
and it's sad. Sorry. I'm just saying it's sad. I wish it wasn't like that.
The one point you just made, though, I thought was interesting about how, maybe the rap culture, the hip hop culture, fatherless homes, which I think there's a lot of actual data about fatherless homes. I mean, I just pulled it up right here. Black homes are 50% are absent father or father absent households. Hispanic are 29% and white is 20%. And I've read some stuff on like that. It contributes, a very great deal to a lot of this stuff. That being said, though, I wonder why there are cultural differences. And you just mentioned that white people do really weird shit, right? And that black people don't generally do that weird shit that we're talking about. Like,
I mean, like you've talked about it before, like a white person will cut your face off and wear it across the country as a hat.
Yeah, exactly. Like, or start some weird devil cult and eat children. Like, white people do weird shit. I wonder what the how, I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but like why that is, because you never see, black people in that kind of situation where they're creating the devil cult and eating children or wearing somebody's face and driving through states or doing something like that. It's always white people that do stuff like that. It's a
Democrat. See, adrenochrome.
Yeah, it's a Democrat.
So, well, now I've had a little time to think about this because we've had this conversation before, and I think that a lot of black folks, especially from poverty-stricken areas, they live in this constant like fight or flight mode. Like everything's a struggle. It's like it's a constant battle. You know what I mean? Like you're constantly on your tiptoes. Like fight or flight, right? And I think white people, from less poverty-stricken areas are probably looking for an adrenaline rush of some sort. They're looking for some excitement in their life, whatever it is, some direction. Where I think like people, the black community, why you don't see them jumping out of fucking airplanes and doing a bunch of crazy stuff like that.
They don't do that.
They're dodging bullets and doing crazy stuff like that in their everyday life, right? In a lot of these places. And I'll acknowledge that. I mean, they've got in these high poverty areas that are crime stricken, that is an extreme sport in and of itself, just living in those areas and dealing with all of that every day. It's just high impact areas, right? Where you live out here in Brandon or Madison or wherever else, and you decide to fall off the deep end and join a cult. It's just a different deal. We've all got our things, I guess.
That was my next question, actually, was like, how many, you never hear about a black guy starting a cult. It's always a white thing, like starting the cult.
Because they have it's gangs.
They start gangs.
They start gangs. White people start cults. And I don't know. Do
you remember that when Marilyn Manson was coming to Jackson and all those people tried to, I think my mama was one of those people.
We ended up having, we had to use our tickets to go to see him on the coast because they canceled the Jackson show.
And I remember my church was celebrating.
But I mean, I'd say it's cults are definitely certainly a white.
Let's cancel the music. The original cancel culture, Southern Christians.
All I can remember about that was the beautiful people.
And it was the video game. The video games are bad too. Is another one that people say. Video games.
It's always got to be something else's fault, but it does. A lot of times it does. I can't be a hypocrite here.
The video
and say that black people and say that crime in the black communities isn't influenced by rap. I can't say this is influenced by rap music, and then turn around and say that a lot of these first player shooter video games aren't leading to well, that's also some of the reasons that you see some of the stuff you see in the black communities too, is these Grand Theft Auto video games and all of that stuff. And you have so much killing in front of you all the time in these video games that it almost removes the value of human life. And this isn't just a black thing or just a white thing. This is period. It is desensitizing people to death constantly when you're playing these video games all the time, or you see it on TV or you hear it in the music. It desensitizes it. And then you take somebody's life and you don't realize just how final that is. You don't get another life like in a video game.
Yeah.
Look, I would challenge anybody to go take a ride with Michael Reinwald. You know, he's just said right here, I'll give tours driving through Jackson for that adrenaline rush for a small fee. And I mean, I know he knows how dangerous it is and how scary it is out there.
People that think I'm full of shit, I encourage you, and especially white people that haven't lived in Jackson, that haven't experienced some of the worser parts of Jackson, some of the shit I'm talking about. I encourage you to go into some of these areas after dark, and I mean like some of the real areas, and just experience it and see what we're talking about. And this ain't just me picking the worst case scenarios to talk about. This is the majority of what goes on in these cities and most of these areas outside of Fondren, Belhaven, and a few enclaves in Northeast Jackson. It has gotten really, really bad in a lot of these areas. And it is this constant struggle, this fight or flight, I just got like high impact crime areas. Mm-hmm. And see how you feel about all of it then. You know, have your entire inheritance stripped away because the property value went to shit because of this culture. And then tell me how you feel about it.
I don't think there's anything you've said that's necessarily wrong. I mean, I think your analysis of it is probably correct. I think there's probably other extenuating factors that that I don't know either, that are contributing to a lot of things. But I think generally there are things that probably I think you could say are. I think you could say, yeah, Jackson is a primarily black city, and there is a shit ton of violence. And what's the cause of that? You know what I mean? And so there's some reasons here to fatherless homes, lack of guidance that causes things, environmental influences that are not happening in, even poor suburban communities.
Well, this is where they get mad, because when we all agree on that, I won't follow it up with, and it's caused by infrastructural racism, systemic racism, or any of that. I say we're past all that. This is 100% currently caused because of lack of accountability and culture right. This has nothing to do with racism that happened in the 1960s. We're beyond that. The 90s were too good for most people for one group to slide as far backwards as it has and continue to slide backwards. Like at some point something happened, whatever, I don't know, but we were doing really, really well, and then.
But I mean, it's been a thing for a long time, Clay, even before, I think, Chokeway. Even Stokes was like the one who was like, you can't even chase crime into Jackson. You can't arrest someone in Jackson. So everyone would just flee to Jackson. It's like that's where you knew you could commit crime.
Yeah, fighting crime became racist. So you lose people when that's the side you're on. When you start making an excuse for criminals and you start using this generational poverty stuff, and you start trying to make everybody feel bad for people who do bad things, and you don't know their circumstances. That may have been the only choice they had. Some of these crimes are too violent and too spontaneous for you to tell me that that's the only choice they had. Killing a guy at the gas pumps, it has nothing to do with poverty. If you want to go inside and tell me you're robbing a gas station, you need money to eat, or you're shoplifting because you need to feed your kids, maybe. But
stealing a loaf of bread to feed your kids, that's a different scenario.
Sure. Sure.
I think also a good example of that to the point. So now we just went through 8 years of the Lumumba administration, and we hit about as rock bottom as you could have hit in this city.
Let's hope. Let's certainly hope so.
Well, I mean, it seems like just in the last few weeks, just there's a lot of positive steps, at least that I'm seeing. I think we're all seeing. I think we might have hit the point where people in the city even were saying, okay, it's not racist to police the city. I think you would have, but most citizens now are going to agree on that because of how bad, because I think Chokwe Lumumba is kind of the emblematic of what you're talking about, Clay. Like that these things, enforcement of the law is racist. He's kind of the epitome of all of that in a politician, and enacted those policies. And we all saw the end result of those situations. And in every bad way that you could, whether it be crime, infrastructure, corruption, those kinds, just lack of accountability for anything other than just, crime. It's for many things, the schools issues and all of that. So
I wasn't even going to go there.
I think, there is, obviously a, huge problem with the public schools in Jackson. So I think maybe you hit to this point that's so bad that you might see a pendulum moving back. I think you're kind of already seeing that now. That's going to take quite a bit of time. I don't think it's going to fixing the entire city overnight is not going to happen.
That's never going to happen overnight.
No, it's not going to happen. But I think you're at least seeing some policies implemented step by step that'll get us a little bit further than, from the shit pile that we're in now.
JPD knows how to turn their lights on the top of the car now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they do. They're busting people for drugs. You even got the chief of police saying, "Hey, we don't need to have any ski masks." Like, these are things Chokwe Lumumba never would have said or allowed the chief of police to say. So I think we're heading, like I guess you would say, baby steps in the right direction. So.
Yeah, I concur.
And Caribbean has said, at worst, the Horn administration resemble a Harvey. Hey, I'll take the Harvey Johnson years right now. Like, right now, I will take that. Like, that Jackson, I'd love. I mean, there was problems with that Jackson. I was at the DA's office then and saw the crime. It wasn't like this fucking RoboCop Detroit that we're in right now. That's the. So I'll take the Harvey Johnson administration back. The second one, not even the first one. So
guys, look, I got to get ready for tomorrow. I've got the show and I got to get ready for the extravaganza. So I got to jump off here. We're an hour and 40 minutes anyway. So we're almost 2 hours. It flew by. We hit a topic close to home. So this is always one that I can discuss ad nauseum. I try to avoid it, to be honest, because I feel like I've done it so much. But, anytime you have a good long form conversation without commercial breaks to really vet out these thoughts and have a conversation about it, I'm always game for, because I feel like my version of this story clears me of any racism. And I never have a problem. I never have a problem telling it.
Even when we sound like we're angry or getting upset with each other or that we're really passionate, I think it is really good to be able to always hear different perspectives and get different viewpoints on a situation. I think it gives it everybody has a chance to hear what other people think.
Yeah, and I don't get to go, Clay, but I think a lot of times where you get a lot of the, he's a racist kind of hate is because you're not able to explain your position like we just all talked it out, because it's radio, it's a little segment, so people hear segments, and when anything's segmented, it can be portrayed a way that it really isn't. I think, and that happens in all media, in all facets of media.
Well, and I also believe, thank you for that, and I also believe that we've gone so long with I'm going to say it, with white people being scared to death to call out what's going on in the Black communities, when in fear of being called a racist or being shouted down the minute you do it and scream, "You're racist. You're not allowed to criticize us. It's your fault. It's y'all's fault that we're in this situation." And for a long time, white people just shut the hell up and never said anything back. And then finally, after having a front row seat to it for as long as I have, I decided to start speaking out on what I seen with my own eyes and my lived experience. And if people don't like it, I think one of the reasons that I do agitate people so bad is they know that I know how the sausage is made. I had a front row seat for it. I was a part of it with the nightclubs for years and years and years. And they know that I'm speaking the truth and they don't like it. You get the most pissed off when people attack you when it's true, right? It's not the lies that bother you that people say about you. It's the truth that bothers you. And people in Jackson know I'm speaking the truth. They may not like it. They may have a different version of the truth, but the numbers don't lie. The stats don't lie. So when you're above target, you always know you're above target because you can see how people react. And I mean, look, still to this day, when people say things about me that are true, that I don't like, those are the things that piss me off the most. So that's why you got to be very comfortable in your skin if you're going to do this for a living. You got to be able to take people attacking you and coming after you or whatever, because it's going to be the things that are the most accurate that you have a complex about. Maybe it's past addictions or whatever it is, past problems, and people bringing that up when you know that ain't you anymore and still accusing you of being that, whatever it is. Those are the things that bother you the most. And I know that it's a very sensitive situation in Jackson. There's a lot of people that live there that are Black that obviously aren't partaking in this bullshit, and they don't like being lumped in with it. I get it. Get up and start fighting back and saying something about it. That's my challenge to folks, and it always has been. If you don't like what's going on in your community, instead of getting mad at me for talking about it, how about you get out and do something about it? Start fighting back. Well, Clay, you don't understand. It's a retaliation. Well, at some point you just got to start snitching, and maybe we got a decent enough mayor and police chief and stuff over there now that can do his job, that people who speak out aren't held accountable or aren't punished by the criminals. I mean, because I think it's so deep that I think the 911 operators are snitching people out that were calling in and reporting the crimes.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Really?
Yeah, I could see that.
Is that not?
Well, I don't have any proof for that. That's just my assumption that the culture is that ate up that I think some of the people that are working the 911, especially under Chokwe, 911 was so bad that you couldn't. It would be an easy way to. It would be easy to convince me. I mean, my mom got behind a drunk driver one morning around 8 o'clock in the morning in South Jackson, close to where they live, and the 911 operators were more concerned about who she was and why she was calling than they were about the drunk driver in front of her. My mom's been a cop, for years. She understands, how this conversation is supposed to go. And they never even asked the tag number or for a description of the vehicle, but asked my mom all that about her. So I have zero respect. The JPD's got a lot of respect to earn back from me. Not that they care about me. But
for a lot of people, I think.
Yep. All right, guys.
All right. We will see everybody on Sunday.
That is if I live. I mean, I think Sean ordered a doll that's going to show up at the house or something. We'll see.
We'll be back on Sunday night. We are off tomorrow and Saturday. So we'll be back. We'll be on the radio. Clay will be on at 7 and we'll be on at 12. So check that out.
Yeah, but then I'll be at the Wildlife Extravaganza at the Clyde Muse Center, Pearl Hines Community College, all 3 days. Check out their schedule. Stop by my booth. Say hey, buy a shirt. If you can't make it, do it online. Buyfafo.com. Y'all be good. Peace. Thank you, everybody.